The death toll from Nepal's floods keeps rising as hundreds are still missing. India has dispatched its first tranche of aid to Nepal. Among the Indians missing, several are believed to have been on Kailash Mansarovar pilgrimage. Gift of the Givers is in communication with the Nepalese Disaster Management. For more on this, we're joined now by Dr Imtiaz Sooliman from Gift of the Givers. A very good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, we've just concluded an interview with our India correspondent who has just indicated that the situation is still quite volatile. The extent of the disaster still to be established, but what she can say for certain is that thousands have been impacted and are in need of short-term and long-term rehabilitation. What have you established from the briefing you've received?
Good morning. Thank you very much. We're in contact, as you mentioned, with the Nepalese Disaster Management. We intervened in that country in 2015 when the earthquake struck them. It was a 7.8 earthquake which caused major destruction. They've told us a few things. But first of all, we don't intervene until there's a call made by the head of state to say they want international assistance. And the disaster management have told us exactly that they sent us a letter this morning because we had sent them a letter yesterday afternoon. They said the letter is being discussed in their parliament, thanking us for our offer of assistance. And they said, look, the government themselves are not sure yet to the extent of the damage because nobody can get there. The roads are washed away. The only access is by helicopter, but the helicopters can't land because the water levels are too high. So they themselves need to make an assessment before they can say whether they need international assistance or not. At the same time, I spoke to the tour operator who took the South Africans that were traveling with the tour operator. He said 4 of them are missing. Now it's almost confirmed that 2 of them have passed on. I've spoken to the daughter of the couple, the parents, and she said she was given information that the parents were in a building that was totally decimated, so she doesn't see any chance of survival. That same tour operator told me that it was very sudden, and to him the destruction is huge and the loss of life is going to be huge because thousands, in his words, thousands of houses, businesses, malls, buses, cars have been washed away at very short notice. Sure. Coming back to the disaster management guys, they said, we have to wait for what the government says and they'll get back to us in a day or two. Secondly, they said there's a secondary risk that because of the water levels being so high, there's a dam in the area, and they're afraid that the dam wall will break, and that's going to cause more chaos and more destruction, and that no teams can get in. And of course, thirdly, the water level is already too high right now. So he says they can't get in, their military can't get in, their management people can't get in, so they don't want to call anybody unless they themselves are certain what's required and when it can be done.
But I'm sure it's quite difficult even for you guys as Gift of the Givers that at this point your hands are tied, but you've got South Africans that would probably be calling you for some level of assistance given the relationship you've had over the years with Nepal. So at this point you're saying out of the 6 that we have stated are unaccounted for, 2 now it can almost be confirmed that they might be deceased. So the 4, you would have family members of those 4 still calling you, but at this point you cannot even act, you cannot assist because the government is yet to decide as to whether they need international aid.
Yes, and you can't force the hand of the government. The other 2, there's 6 people, the other 2 we know they're alive. Strangely enough, the lady whose parents passed on, I was thinking of her on Tuesday night at an event, and she calls me on Wednesday. And she's somehow in a distant family to my wife. And of course, the other 2 couples, there's another 2, a woman and a daughter who's a doctor. We know them personally also. They've phoned to say they're fine. And then today we got a message from other South Africans who say they live there, they're not affected. And then I've been told by one of the media, they spoke to the mother of the daughter that's missing from remember the 6. 2 we say have passed on, 2 we know are fine. The mother said her daughter is 33 years old, she's missing. We don't know what the 6th one is. And we don't have these other South Africans unless we hear that from tour operators or from the families in South Africa. And of course, this other one's totally unrelated. And they said, look, they're fine. Nothing has happened to them. So we can't intervene because even the government itself can't do anything because of the level of the water.
Doctor, we trust you to keep us abreast, or we will keep in touch to establish what is the latest coming out of Nepal. Thank you very much for your time.